or good evening, depending on the time you tune into this. I'm your host, Imran Abu Bakr, and I'd like to welcome you to the next official episode of the thebluetapes podcast. Today, we're going to be approaching the topic of mental health, and I have a special guest with me. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Payam Bostani. I'm a freshman at NYU studying mechanical engineering, and I've been a long-time fan of Imran's, and I'm happy to be here to talk about this.
So with everything going on, I don't want to constantly remind you of what we're currently going through, but the case in point, there's been a lot of things that have been eating away at our ability to focus, especially on something like school. School has been extremely hard to focus on, even for me personally. How has school been for you during this time?
Well, as school for me, during the semester, it was going well. But then as soon as this coronavirus situation happened, I lost the motivation and energy to actually focus on it. Because when you're at home, that environment isn't set up to help you excel in school. You know what I mean?
I know. Because this thing, it's been a real motivation killer in terms of doing anything. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be extremely transparent. I don't really think I've learned anything since I've left for spring break, which was, I don't know how many weeks ago, maybe 6-7 weeks ago. I don't think I've learned a single thing through the online classes that I've been doing.
Yeah, because you can't focus on them. Because when you're at home, you have all these responsibilities, and literally everyone in your home is home now. Unless they're an essential worker, they're all around you. So now you have school to worry about, you have your siblings, your family to worry about, daily chores and stuff like that. And when you're in your room in front of your laptop, it doesn't feel like you're in school. It just feels like you're in the comfort of your home. So that doesn't make you want to study. That doesn't make you want to learn. And with a global pandemic going on, you just want to stay at the top of your mental health. And just school just becomes a distraction, and pain in the ass, if you like to say that.
Oh, it really is a pain in the ass for sure. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like I said in the previous episode, I was down for a little bit. School was the last thing on my mind. I just wanted to focus on healing. I just wanted to focus on feeling normal again, because this situation isn't normal. Scary thing is, this situation is starting to become normal. I'm starting to feel, I guess I'm starting to get comfortable, by just staying at home all the time. I guess I'm starting to get comfortable with by not talking to as many people. Because, you just don't really want to make the effort at the end of the day.
But is that making you, is that motivation for school coming to you? Because it hasn't for me. Even though I'm getting more comfortable, at home in that quarantine, just school is not on my mind at all.
The thing is, I've been careful not to use this situation as an excuse, because I have the goal, in mind, and I don't want to, have to make school take a back seat just because I feel like, okay, we're going through this, and just because the situation's bad, I'm not going to just put it aside. You have to stay focused in a way.
No, of course. Even though I don't have that motivation for school, that doesn't mean I'm not doing my assignments or doing my essays or staying on top of my work. I am, but that doesn't mean I'm learning. I'm not retaining any of the information I'm getting from the assignments I do.
These assignments aren't fun at all.
Yeah,
they're not fun.
Exactly.
They're pretty garbage.
And being at home, being at school, that environment is set up to make you succeed. You have all those resources around you. You have all those people around you in the same situation. So what everyone else, what everyone is going through. You're all in the same situation. You're in this together. You're here to learn. But at home, all of that goes away, and that's why everyone is just unmotivated.
It's a crazy topic. Mm-hmm. So I don't really want to talk about school too much, because school is already there's not really much to talk about school. Yeah. School is garbage as it is. Okay, but school, I don't really want to talk about school too much. That's not really the main focus of this episode. Mental health in terms of culture, a lot of cultures, especially Eastern cultures, East Asian cultures, Middle Eastern cultures around the world, and maybe some African cultures, mental health is a very taboo topic. It's not taken seriously at all. And when you approach the topic, in these households, it's very easily dismissed. And if you do, make a cry for help, it's, maybe there's something wrong with you, terribly wrong with you, that can't be fixed, or, there's always, this Band-Aid solution of, okay, talk to this religious leader, okay, read this book. There's not really anything to really help you. Like, what do you think? What is your take on that? Why do you think that is, probably?
Well, my parents are that way. They grew up in an Eastern culture, and they're not aware about mental health, like the illness that surrounds it, and like how important it is to like keep track of it, and like be healthy with it. And they don't know about all these mental health illnesses and stuff, because over there in my culture, it's as long as you have your faith in God, which is Islam for us, and as long as you have your family around you, that's all you need to be happy. And as long as you have food on the table, or roof over your head, your family, and God, there's nothing else you need to be like that would make you sad. So when they see someone that has all those things, yet they're unhappy in their situation, they see them as crazy. Like, why are you not grateful for what you have? Why are you sad? There's no reason you should be sad, and like stuff like that.
And the thing is, I don't think a lot of people realize that no matter what you have, no matter how well you were brought up, you still have demons that you probably face on a daily basis. No one is immune from feeling, sad or terrible about themselves. And not even just sad. There are people that have everything been given to them, on a silver platter, but are still depressed for whatever reason that they are, and it's not talked about. So I just wanted to say, in terms of, the sentiment that you should go read the Holy Book, that the answer is in the Holy Book. And for some people it is. Some people find reading the Holy Book extremely therapeutic, or talking to a religious leader, and they're given perspective. But for some others, you need to actually be taught, real coping mechanisms about how to go about your life, essentially.
The best way I can put that is, some people just need someone to hug them and tell them that it's okay and that they love them. They need someone to be there. And in these cultures, whenever someone tries to open up and tries to seek that kind of help, they're pushed down immediately. And that just worsens their problem. That makes them more insecure about themselves. That makes them think that nobody cares about them. Nobody values them. And that can lead to like very bad conclusions of self-harm or suicide and stuff like that. But yeah, you just need someone to express their love and affection to you, to tell you that it's going to be okay, and to be there, to talk to, sort out your problems.
Is that love and affection that you talk about in order to make you feel important or valued, do you think it's in Eastern homes, like, is that even a thing, or it's just not part of a culture?
No. So in Eastern homes, there is love and affection, but they express it differently. Right. They express it with for me, it would be the love and affection that I got from my parents would be that they took care of me. They're like, of course I love you. I took care of you. I fed you. I gave you all of this. Why wouldn't I love you? Doesn't that show you my love? You mean they express their love to what they do to you, not through what they say to you, not through I don't know. I don't remember the last time I got a comforting hug from my parents. Honestly, that's not the way they express their love. And that was a problem with me for a long time. But I learned to accept it, because when you grow up in that culture, your whole life, it's all you know. So you can't blame that person for that.
Right. You don't really know any different. But that culture, I'm not downing that culture at all. Everybody has a different culture. It's just the way it is. It's really just the way it is. So my thing is, when culture starts to dictate the narrative, so, just because, you're asking for help and you're not receiving that, because that's not necessarily what we do. It's looked down upon in our community. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it could be regarded, as very harmful, to those that really need help and those who need it. What do you think?
Well, one of those types of help is therapy. And that in itself, when that's brought up into our cultures, like Eastern cultures, they're like, why would you need that? You have your family. Like, you could talk to us and stuff like that. But even if you try to talk to your family and try to like make them understand what's going on with you, it's just the fact that they don't understand mental health that just dictates how they react to what you say. And therapy isn't the only form. There's also medication, and over there, drugs are bad. So when it turns out that you need this drug to like be happy, they're like, oh no, why would you take that?
Because a lot of the time, mental illness, can be strictly chemical. There's just an imbalance, a chemical imbalance in the brain. You may be lacking, in some certain chemicals, or you may have too much of a certain chemical, and you need a medication to balance those chemicals out. And because, what else are you going to do? Sometimes it's necessary.
And that ties into education. We know that education in third world countries it's hard to come by. Like my parents, they didn't go past elementary. They didn't study past elementary because they had other responsibilities to take care of, family and stuff. And like the environment they were in and the situation, like the war and stuff that was going on, they weren't able to advance their education. So they never learned about these chemicals. They never learned about this. The only thing they know is drugs equals bad. So when they learn that you need this drug to stay mentally safe, they're like, no, don't do that. You're just going to go crazy.
That's a very important thing. That's an extremely important thing that you brought up. So you're saying that education is the key. And the thing is, when you do therapy, sometimes you just need to talk to a very neutral source, someone that has no idea who you are. And some people probably think, well, if I go to this person doesn't know me at all. So how could they possibly help me? How could they give me advice? How can they teach me how to get through what I'm doing? The thing is, that's probably the best way of getting help, by someone who doesn't know you. So the thing is, if they don't know you, they can't necessarily judge you.
Exactly.
So the advice they give, it's not necessarily catered to their perception of you, because they haven't known you long enough to have a perception of you, have a complete perception of your character. It's just not going to be there. And so I'm just going to, we're going to go into, some personal topics. So I'm going to throw that out there. During my senior year, I want to say, around December, so at the end of the first semester of high school, senior year, going into the second semester, I had to tell my parents, I'm not feeling good. I need help. I was feeling down. It turns out I was depressed at a point in time. Thank goodness I'm not, depressed anymore. I think I'm fairly healthy as far as I know, mentally at least. But I had to see a therapist. So, I told my parents, hey, I'm not feeling good. My mom actually told me, hey, you might be depressed, so I'm going to get you a therapist. And so I would, go to that therapist. I saw her for a couple months, every week. I would just leave school early on a particular day. I didn't tell anybody where I was going, and I just go to this therapist that I saw, and it was honestly the best thing for me. And then some other things that I've done to go on this path of self-healing. But what about you? Like, what have you done to help you in your mental health?
For me, mine began in 7th grade. And back then I didn't know it. I was a kid and I didn't know what was going on with me. I just thought it was normal to be so sad. I thought it was a normal thing. I thought this is how everyone is. So I didn't think much of it. It didn't affect me as much as I thought it would. And then over time, my depression, it worsened as my problems became more prevalent. And I would have around, I believe, around my sophomore and junior year, that's when mental breakdowns became more prevalent, suicidal thoughts were more prevalent, and in senior year, that's when it almost became a daily thing. And at that point, I was like, I need help. I'm depressed, and I need to do something about it. And I remember in January of 2019, that's when I went to my clinic, and I asked them, could y'all refer me to a psychiatrist and stuff. And the reason I found out I was depressed was because I took AP psychology, and when we covered depression, I literally saw that all the symptoms and all everything that we learned about depression, I was like, wait, that just sounds like me. So then that's what made me go out. I got educated, and I was like, wait, I should do something about this. So I asked to be referred to a psychiatrist, and so they referred me, and then I went to the psychiatrist for a therapy session. I didn't tell my parents. I left school just like you. I didn't tell anyone. I left early, went to the psychiatrist, and she diagnosed me with major depressive disorder. And then she told me to do weekly therapy, and I scheduled a month of that. And then in my second appointment with my psychiatrist, I got medication. And for me, the therapy itself didn't help me. I don't know why, but whenever I went to the therapist, all she would do is just agree with me. And like I would just psychoanalyze myself the whole time. And like in my head, I was like, aren't you supposed to be helping me? Like, why? It seems like I'm doing all the work here. So I stopped going to therapy because it didn't help me. But the medication, it started clearing my mind. I started seeing things in a new perspective and like getting better. But then I couldn't continue the medication because if you don't go to therapy, your psychiatrist isn't going to keep refilling your medication. So that just lasted about a month. But then I knew, in the end, I knew I had to leave that toxic environment where like most of my problems rooted here in Houston in my own home. So I was like, if I get away from here, maybe I can start fresh and start to heal. So that's why I chose NYU. And once I went to New York and started living my own life, doing my own thing, over time, I started to accept my past and come to terms with it. And that's when I started finding my own happiness. I found new hobbies that I liked. I delved deep into my passion. Like I always knew I wanted to go to space, but I never knew what I wanted to do with it. I learned that I want to do space exploration. I want to make space travel available to everyone. Like I learned so much about myself. I became happy, and I'm doing fairly well now. But with the whole quarantine, it's like it seems like you're going back on your progress because you're just alone in your thoughts all day long. But we need to learn. We need to know that our progress, it can't be backtracked. We've gone so far. We have to keep going.
I think what you said is a very important thing. You said when you went into therapy that you felt like you were doing all the work and that you were just psychoanalyzing yourself. That's the thing that, for anybody that's listening, if you do end up choosing therapy as an option, don't expect it to go into therapy and feel like all your problems will be solved. Because at the end of the day, like I said, the therapist doesn't know you. So they can't necessarily just give you this, super enlightening advice and now you're going to be healed. Their only job is to help you help yourself. That's really all you're doing because 90% of the time, you're the ones talking. You're the one talking. They're just sitting there in silence. And you're like, hey, how's this helping me? This is they're just asking me questions, and then I say something, I respond to this question, and they're just agreeing with me. All I get is a, interesting, go on.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's a weird concept. It's an extremely weird concept, but someone that you just don't know, for some reason, just helps you help yourself. I don't know why it works, but it's different. You can probably get help from someone you know as well, but it's just a different thing. I don't know why it's helpful, but it is. Mm-hmm. So just continuing on what I said. So I had to see a therapist as well. And the thing is, I acknowledge that I'm a person of extreme privilege. I live in a fairly good area. I have both my parents in the picture. Really nothing to worry about. No financial struggles. I mean, coming to this country was difficult for a couple of years, but then, life got super comfortable. But the thing is, there are just various things that make you wonder. You just, at that age, at 18, you haven't necessarily found your crowd yet. You haven't found your crowd. You haven't, and the thing, we're social animals. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel, we want to be in a crowd. We want to have people around us that agree with us, that help us out when we're in need. I didn't feel like I had that. I really didn't feel like I had that when I was, in high school. Mm-hmm. Like, pretty much all through high school, like, you have those people that you talk to, but do you have those people, that say, hey, I need help? I'm going through something. A support system. I didn't have that at all.
Yeah, me neither. Like, the many years I've battled with depression is just me in my mind. Just me battling myself, telling like one part of me it tells me that you're not worth it. Like you shouldn't care about yourself. You should go die and stuff like that. And then there's the other part of me that wants to keep fighting, like the good part of me that's like, no, it's okay. If you get through this, there will be better times and stuff like that. So like whenever I was in my deepest lows, I would like during a mental breakdown or something, the only way I would come out of that is to a mental pep talk. I talked to myself in my mind. I just told myself, it's okay. You got this. Like, don't worry about it. You're gonna be okay. I would comfort myself. I would maybe hug myself, maybe grab a pillow or something. Just give myself comfort because I didn't have that support system. I was my own support system.
And talking about this is important because even though, like I said before, like struggling, there hasn't really been any struggles, just struggles of the mind. We're not going, we're not in a time of war, at least for us. We're not starving. There's so many things happening in the world, so many things, and and people are going through shit right now, man. It's really bad. It's extremely bad. Mm-hmm. But you could be suffering here, in comfort. You could be suffering in comfort, suffering in silence. So I didn't have that support system, like I said. So I said, you know what? If I want to have a support system, I have to be a support system for somebody else. And that's just how it works. You cannot expect, someone to help you out if you don't help somebody else. It's just how it is. And it's not saying, okay, you should only do something good so you can have something good happen to you in return. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying if you want to have, the people that, have these group of people, this circle that you trust each other, you help each other out in terms of need, be that for someone else first. Be that for someone else first. I'm telling you, it works. It really works.
What depression has taught me is that I don't want anyone else to ever go through the shit I went through.
Exactly.
I don't want anyone to battle the way I battled. So every single person I meet, I try to spread that happiness that I found. I ask them how they are. Like if I ever see any behavioral changes or anything, I notice. I watch. If I see anything that's out of the ordinary, I try to be like talk to them. Like, is everything okay? Is everything fine? Like, I want to help the people around me because I don't want anyone to face the stuff I faced. I don't want anyone to be at the rock bottom I was.
We have to bring awareness. We have to normalize so when we talk about normalizing something, we have to make it we have to make it seem that it's normal to talk about this. You have to be able to talk about it. Now, normalizing mental health in terms of saying, you know what, I'm feeling depressed today. You don't feel depressed today. Depression is a lifelong thing. Yeah. It's a lifelong thing. So even when like I said, I think I battled through depression, there's still those times, where like you just go through long episodes of feeling really down and then feeling really up, for a while, and then it's a continuous cycle. It's a continuous cycle that doesn't really go away, but there's ways to make the best of it. Mm-hmm. So when people say, hey, I'm feeling depressed today, I'm feeling anxious today, you have to be careful with what you're saying. Yeah. And nobody's telling you, okay, you have to talk about it like this. I'm not telling you how to say anything. You say whatever you want. I'm just trying to, convince you about the power of your words. Because when you say you're feeling depressed today, like, what about that? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and it makes it seem like it's a little problem.
Exactly. It just takes the significance of it. Like, there are people who have been going through this for a while, and it's hard for them to talk about it. It's hard for them to like reach out and say, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can you like help me? When people just say, hey, I'm feeling depressed today, haha. Like, it's just like a joke. Like, oh, I'm sad. No, sadness, this is the thing. I learned, like, after I found my happiness, I learned the difference between sadness and depression. Like, whenever I get sad these days, like, I get a bit happy too, because I'm like, thank God I'm not depressed. Thank God I'm feeling sad instead of feeling depression.
And sadness is a normal emotion.
Yeah. And I did not feel sadness for a long time. I just felt depression for a long time. And the first time I felt sadness, a wave of happiness went through me because I was like, I'm not depressed anymore. I'm just sad.
That's a very good way to put things. That's an extremely good way to put things, man. So that's why now I feel like it's important to share my struggle with mental health. I'm not saying that it's something that, because there's different levels to it, it hasn't necessarily been crippling. I'm still like very high functioning. I still get things done. I'm still pretty creative with everything that I do. I still put in maximum effort. And the thing is, I'm never, ever, selfish, everybody is selfish, but I'm never, ungrateful. That's the word. I'm never ungrateful for what I have, because I come back to my house, I see my parents every day. They tell me they love me, and like I'm able to hug them. Everything, man. I still live a very good life, but I still have my struggles with, depression, and now it's more or less anxiety, because uncertainty for the future, and just fearing what other people think. Starting something new. This podcast was very hard for me to start. Like I said in the previous episode, it's been a year building up to this point, because I was so afraid of what people would think, so afraid if people would take this seriously or not. And then ever since I launched it, I was really anxious about it. I'm just really bad symptoms, like racing heartbeat, not being able to focus on something, just having to sit down for very long periods of time to catch my breath, because I was so afraid of what people would think. But I've been able to understand that you really shouldn't care. And it's a very strange concept, man. It's a very strange concept, because hate is something you can never escape.
Could I ask you something?
Go ahead.
Was this the first time you left your comfort zone?
This is the first time I've left my comfort zone in this way, putting my creativity in the world like that, because I've always been creative in silence. In silence, I've always written in silence. I've always done my art in silence. So whatever it was in private. I never shared it with the world. Never shared my perspective of what I think, because I was afraid of what people would think about how I go about things a certain way. Because I have very different views on things. I have very different views on religion, on life, on just a lot of things. I've only shared these views with very few people. Because I was afraid, like this guy, grew up in a Muslim household, yet holds these progressive views. Like, is he a real Muslim? Stuff. I was afraid of that. I don't know why, but I've always been afraid of criticism, because it's something that I've never really had to deal with. Nobody has really criticized me openly like that. But I have to learn that you're gonna get criticized. You are gonna get criticized, but that's been my battle. It's been my battle right now.
And the reason you get criticized is because these people, just like you, they're afraid to leave their own comfort zone. And when they see you, someone who's left their comfort zone, and you're doing something new for yourself, you're doing something good for yourself, you're trying new things, they get jealous. They see that you're doing better than them. So the thing
is, I wouldn't say I'm doing better than them, because I still consider myself to be a very unestablished man at this point. I haven't really built something.
But at least you're trying.
I'm trying though.
Exactly. You're doing something that they're not. Something that I don't know what goes on in their mind. Maybe they know they should be doing it, or they don't want to. I'm not sure, but they see you trying to do something, or doing something that they're not currently, and that makes them, I guess, hate. They're like, stop, like, come back here, come back to my level.
And that's exactly what my mom told me. She told me that, people are going to criticize whatever you're doing. It's just a natural part of life. People are going to have something to say regardless. And now I'm starting to learn that that's normal. That, I've gone, pretty much my entire life without somebody really criticizing me, really buckling down and say, hey, you're doing this wrong. I don't know if people are really comfortable, with like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just haven't been criticized like that. Nobody's really lectured me. And sometimes I feel like I needed that, because I have, done questionable things where I felt like, yo, why didn't anybody tell me, yo, you're doing something wrong right here? Because I did need to hear it. But now, but that's a different topic, though. It's a different thing. This is in regards to, starting something up. But like I said, man, it's normal. We're all going to hear it. You're going to hear the noise. It's going to creep up on you. And a lot of the time, it's going to be blamed to your face. Some people are going to have the balls to say and put the middle finger in your face and say, hey, stop.
And to really like come in terms with all that hate and like criticism, you need to learn that it doesn't matter what people think of you. As long as you're doing something that makes you happy and you're doing something good for yourself and you like what you do, that should be enough for you to be content. And you can take criticism and improve on what you're doing, but don't let that criticism get to your head and make you stop what you're doing.
Right. That's a very important thing, I think. Don't let this stop you from whatever you're doing. If you have something in mind, something that you've been wanting to start up, share with the world, but you've been afraid of the feedback that you're going to get, regardless, just go do it. Just go do it, because you're going to feel better about doing this. Like I said, I was scared to start this right here, scared to start this podcast, but I felt so good when I released that first episode. Regardless of who listened, regardless of how many listens, if I got a 1 listen, 2 listens, I didn't care. But I mean, we've had quite a bit of listens, but I didn't care. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and now I'm doing it. So that's pretty much our stories. You've heard our stories. Now we're just going to talk about, just mental health in general. We're going to approach the topic of self-harm and suicide. Do you have any take on this?
Well, from personally, self-harm, I've never done that. And I've had suicidal thoughts, but I've had a lot of suicidal thoughts over the time of my depression, like my battle and everything, but I just never gave in. But there were like 2 or 3 times where I got the tools to make the act happen, but I didn't go any farther from that because I had people, I was talking to a person at that time, and they convinced me to not do it. And usually self-harm, I never wanted to. I don't know why people do it, but for me, no, I mean, I do know why people do it. It's like it makes them feel better. Like they self-harm because they think they deserve it.
Yeah, they think they need to be punished.
Exactly. They think they deserve it. I never felt that way personally. How about you?
For me, self-harm I've never done, just because I never thought, it was just never a thought process that, if I cut myself or harm myself, it's a relief, it's a method of catharsis. That's never been a thought process of mine at all. Yeah. But the thing is, like, a big question, so do you think suicide is a selfish option? Like, do you think?
Honestly, yeah, because no matter what you're going through, like when you're depressed, like with depression, like you don't know that there's so many people that care about you and love you, and you don't think of them when you want to kill yourself, because you don't understand that once you're gone, it lets out a ripple and it affects all the people who are in your circle, all these people that have spent time with you, that have cared about you, that loved you. You just rip yourself away from their lives, and like out of nowhere, and no one knows, and that causes more pain than any pain you could ever bring upon yourself.
I think that more so applies to people that are been blessed to have like people that love them, because the thing is, I don't think that applies to homeless people. I don't think that applies to homeless people that are really on the road by themselves. I don't think it applies to people, have lost all their family and friends and they're literally by themselves, because the thing is, I don't think it's a selfish option, and I don't think it's I don't think it's an unselfish option either. But I don't necessarily think you should do it, but the thing is, like, fuck my opinion, like I said. I'm not here to give my opinion on anything. We're just here to have a conversation, and if it comes to what I need to say about a certain thing, I'll say it, but you don't need to value it at all. But suicide, I don't think it could be. I don't think there could be a label on it. I don't think someone can regard it as selfish or unselfish, because there's literally so many things that can affect your decision to do that. Some people really feel hopeless here. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah, it does depend on the situation, but when you have people that rely on you, I think it's selfish if you take yourself away. Like, no matter what you're going through, there are people who just like you need those crutches, like that support system. You could be a support system for someone else.
That's true.
So think about that other person, not just yourself.
That is true. So, bridging the gap between normalizing the conversation and bringing awareness, because it's a double-edged sword, right? So if we try to normalize the situation, normalize talking about being mentally ill, and bringing aware, like, how do we do that? Because I feel like you really can't have both sometimes.
Yeah, like usually when, like, from my experience, if someone says, like, if someone is okay about talking, like publicly talking about their mental issues, other people around them would just think like, oh, if he's okay to talk about it, he must be dealing well with it. So, like, he doesn't need any help. Exactly. People publicly talk about it so people can come in and help them. It's basically a cry for help. Like, hey, I'm going through this. I need someone, please. But usually it's seen as, oh, if they can talk about it, they must be okay. And the reason, I believe the reason for that is it's such a taboo topic to talk about that whenever someone does, it seems normal.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's what normal is right now is for people to not talk about it, to not talk about their mental issues. So when someone does, it seems like they're okay. If someone that wasn't okay, then they would never speak of it.
That's a very interesting thing that you said. The thing is, people nowadays are talking more about it, but I can't eat, like you said, it makes me think that too, because there was a basketball player, Kevin Love. He plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He opened up about his battles with anxiety, and how he almost had a panic attack mid-game one time. And when he talked about it, I couldn't help but think that this guy's okay anyway, because he's talking about it. Mm-hmm. And you just prove that point right there. Because if you talk about it, people start to think that since you're talking about it, you had the courage to bring up the conversation, that you've moved past it.
Exactly. You put it perfectly. Just because someone can speak to you about their problems doesn't mean they don't need your help.
That's true. That's very true. So, let's talk about getting past it now. Getting past mental illness, dealing with your shit. Yeah, it's a lifelong thing. It's a lifelong thing. As much as I think I'm well now, I know I'm gonna have hurdles to jump over, later down the line, because that's just the nature of life. If life gets too easy, if that's the thing too. When life gets too easy, some people get depressed about that too, because we humans, we thrive on things being different. I don't know why we need to spice things up, but every now and then we need a hurdle thrown at us in order to remind us that life is a journey. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I agree with you, because like when life gets too easy, that means everything becomes routine. Like, you're good at it, you can do it like that, and it's just a normal thing to you, and that, like, I guess that makes life boring to you. Like,
what's the point?
One example is a 9-to-5 work schedule. A lot of people don't want that, because that's just easy, routine, everyday, same thing, and it's just, I guess, it makes life lose meaning. Like it makes you think, is this it? Is this all I'm gonna do for the rest of my life? I thought there was more to this, you know?
Exactly. So, in terms of happiness, to be honest, I think happiness is a decision that you make every single day. You know, you wake up and you decide, I'm not going to let anything get to me today. I'm going to go about my day and I'm just going to kill it. I don't think happiness is something that, you know, you get from other people. Other people may contribute to your happiness for sure. Other people, your family, loved ones, you know, any friend that, you know, confidant that you trust, you know, just brings joy to your life. That can surely happen. But the thing is, they're around you because you're happy. What do you think about that?
I can't fully agree with you on that because I feel like you need a certain level of mental strength to have that mindset every day. And when you're depressed, you don't have that mental strength. You don't have that, like, yeah, you can put a happy face on. You can make it seem like you're happy, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be depressed. You can get through a day with that kind of mindset, but I don't think that's going to lead you to happiness. It's just going to get you through another day. Because I was like that for a long time. Wake up in the morning, go to school, be this different person, be this happy person, come home, and fall right back into my depression. It didn't make me better. It just made me seem like I was okay in front of the people that I cared about.
But the thing is, I think when you are depressed, I think there's work to be done, though. I don't think you necessarily just heal with time, you know, just doing nothing.
Oh, no, definitely. Like, I didn't heal with time, I healed through action. Like, it took so long for me to heal because I tried very different things. Like, my heart was void of love, and I tried to get that from the people around me, and I couldn't find it. And for a very long time, I tried to get it from other people. That's what I thought. I was like, if I can get this love, then I'm going to be happy. But then, over time, I learned that the only love I need is from myself, self-love. And when I found my happiness, that's when I started loving myself. That's how I found my happiness. I started loving myself. I started loving the things I wanted to do. And that's what I knew. I'm enough. What I do is enough. The person I am is enough. Yes, I can be better. I'm going to strive to be better, but I am enough. And that's all I need. I don't need anyone else to tell me that.
I guess that's what I should have said. You know, when I said you make a decision every day to be happy, what I probably think I meant was if you thrive on action, you do an action that you think was going to contribute to your happiness down the line.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I meant. That's what I meant about that. I don't really think, you know, if you were depressed for a very long time, that you wake up suddenly and say, hey, I'm going to be happy. No, of course it doesn't work like that.
You can pretend you're happy, but
for sure.
At the end of the day, you're not going to be happy. It's going to get you through the battle, but it's not going to finish the war.
Happiness is internal, man. Happiness is internal. I don't think money buys it. I don't really think any external things, you know, external things can probably contribute to your happiness, but they'll never be the cause of it. They'll never cause it. Happiness is what you're grateful for inside. Mm-hmm. What makes you get up every day and say, hey, life is good. Life is good, and I love everything about it right now.
And it's despite what's going on in your life. Your life could be shitty. You could be on the streets, but if you have happiness, then you're good. Life will be good. It's not about the material things you have around you. It's like you said, it's internal. It doesn't matter what your situation is, you can be happy.
Sometimes, you know, with social media and everything, you see people that are flaunting, you know, this wealth, just out of nowhere, you know, and I don't know, man, like, just, I can't help but think it may be just like a cry for validation or, you know, help, or like just, you know, asking for something, you know, seeking something that you don't normally get, because at the end of the day, you know, everyone needs some sort of validation. even from yourself sometimes. But we need it, man. We need to feel validated by the group because that's what aided our survival. However many thousands of years ago. If the group didn't validate you, they didn't let you enter the group, and then you had to fend on your own. You had to fight whatever elements that were there by yourself because you didn't have the validation of the group. And now, since we don't have to do that anymore, civilization has changed. We don't need validation anymore. There's no practical use for validation anymore. But that's our DNA hasn't changed, even though our environment has.
If you don't have if you don't have a healthy social life, have healthy social interactions, that can lead to depression. If you don't have these people around you to accept you for who you are and accept the things that you do and make you feel good about it, that can lead to depression. So yeah, it is innate in us.
I think that's probably what led to mine. Of course, I appreciated the friends I had. I appreciate them to death. I would do anything for them. If they asked me for help, of course I would help them. But I don't know. I felt like there was just something missing in terms of, I don't know, man. I really can't verbalize what I'm thinking. But it's just, I don't know. They felt like that was what missing. And that's what, my therapist helped me realize is that, you're going to find your group later down the line. No matter how long it takes you, you're going to find that group that, validates you and makes you feel normal for being who you are. And sometimes until you get to that point, you're going to have to validate yourself. And that may be the hardest thing to do.
I think until you find that right group of people, you're not alone. You don't only need yourself to validate. You're going to find people that are going to be there for you to validate you, but they're going to come and go. They're going to be there for a certain period of time, and they're going to be good to you, but they're going to leave, and you can't latch on to them. You have to understand that although they're good people and they're here for you now, they're not meant to be until you find that right group of people. You know what I mean?
I really hope this, everyone does, because I know it's just a way of life. Sometimes some people are just not going to find that ever, and it's just we can, I don't want to sell people, false hopes that you're gonna be validated one day. You're gonna find this group of people that make you feel so good, because some people grow up in war zones, man, and probably they're not gonna live much longer. It's really like something that you need to be aware of. So if you do find that lucky group of people, consider yourself very lucky. Just be grateful, because not a lot of people have that, man. People are growing up in terrible situations. They don't really have to worry about the people that they have around them. They have to worry about getting food for the next day. So it's really tough. So if you do end up finding that group, consider yourself very lucky.
You have to put yourself out there to find out those people. It's not going to come to you. You have to be social. You have to leave your comfort zone. You have to meet new people, and not all of them will stick around, like I said.
And the thing is, you have to realize sometimes they're just not going to talk to you ever.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about triggers. In terms of what triggers a response for you. In terms of your mental health. There's a lot of the time, when you have a mental illness, you're in this neutral zone. You're suffering. You start to get somewhat comfortable in it. It just starts to become your new normal. And you're just in this neutral space, but there are triggers that just make you feel that much more anxious, that much more depressed. So that's what we're going to talk about. Each of us have triggers, that we have. Do you want to start?
Yeah. When I was depressed, I didn't feel anything, because I don't have those chemicals blasting off whenever something happens to me. I don't feel it, in my heart. And, the only thing I ever felt was sadness. I didn't feel happiness or any of those other emotions. But when a trigger happens, that's when I get this overwhelming, feeling of depression. And, my heart literally hurts. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not a physical pain. I guess it's a mental pain or something. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it just feels like my heart hurts. And my heart rate goes up, and like my breathing gets abnormal. And until I let it out, until I let the tears come, and I have my mental breakdown, it does not go away. And it usually comes when something similar, like a situation or like a social interaction or something happens that reflects like the trauma that I've been through. That's when it comes to me. And until I can deal with it and get past it, it won't go away. I have to face it, and I have to get through it, and then it's gone.
So for you, it's something that you've seen or hear that reminds you of your past abuse, pretty much.
Usually, well, hear no, but see yes. When I see something that was similar to my abuse, it hurts me. But when it happens to me directly, when maybe someone says something to me that like has a lot of like sentimental value, like bad sentimental value from my past, it just it's like a flood into my head. It's a flood of memories. It's a flood of negativity right into my head, and I can't think about anything else until I can get all of that in order.
So for anyone that's confused right now about what triggers are, think about it like this. Someone that's been to war or, just grew up in an impoverished area, for example, if they hear gunshots or if they hear fireworks, for example, it sets off these very strong emotions, and it suddenly takes them there, to the very terrible, dark place that they were previously in. That's basically what triggers are. These triggers, incite something in your brain to make you feel like you were in the place of your past abuse. These triggers are very, very bad things. So I'm gonna do what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna talk about my triggers. So for a long time, I've always been afraid of criticism. I've been afraid of criticism. Like, I didn't necessarily care, if someone, like out of the blue called me a dickhead, like, because I don't know you. Like, if I don't know you at all, but if someone I knew criticized me for something that I liked doing or something that I thought I was good at, if I was criticized, man, it broke me down. And the thing is, I could not take a joke back then. I had to learn to find a sense of humor because I used to take myself so seriously for no reason. I thought if I could be this stoic, perfect person that gets respect out of people. The thing is, it doesn't. It really doesn't. People just don't see you as a person at that point. They see you void of a personality. And that's how I was for a very long time. People that have known me, they've known of my existence, let's say. They've never known me though. And that's how it's been for a lot of time, for a lot of people that I guess, I've talked to and say, hey, I actually don't even know you, but I've seen you in school for like 5-6 years. I don't know you though. And I was scared of that. And with my specific trigger, it doesn't really affect me now. I've learned to deal with it. I've had to learn coping mechanisms and stuff like that. And just basic, you just become more mature and you say, man, I don't really give a damn anymore. Like, I don't care. But before, if someone made fun of me, man, I don't know why. I'd go home and think about that for days. I don't know why. And just, whether it was my appearance or any other, superficial things, I couldn't deal with it. Or, like, for example, the season, during senior season, or basketball season was senior season, I injured myself the first day of practice. I slipped on some sweat and I injured my hand so bad. I went to the doctor and I had a bone bruise that was not going to heal for another 6-7 months. I said, you know what? This is the first time I've actually played sports for the school. I don't care. I'm still going to play. And that was probably the worst thing I could have ever done. I should have sat out that season. I really should have. I couldn't even dribble the ball. But I didn't tell people. I I was injured. People just thought I was garbage. The thing is, people were telling me, hey, someone said this and this, someone said they could take your spot. In the back of my mind, I knew that if I was healthy, it was going to be a different situation. But, I let pride get in the way. I said, no, I'm going to keep going. And I played garbage that entire season. People were looking at me and said, hey, I thought you were decent. Like, why are you playing so bad? But the thing is, I couldn't tell. Only one person on that team knew. And that, I don't know why. It doesn't even really mean anything. I mean, this is a first world problem, but it doesn't really mean anything. But it just made me feel so crappy about myself for some reason. When there was something I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it, and then other people are criticizing me. Essentially, I couldn't take it. I really couldn't take it. I don't know what was going through my mind at that time.
And even though since you couldn't take that criticism, you put yourself through pain and through all of that
to try to prove myself.
Exactly.
To try to prove myself that I was good as you thought I was. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I should have swallowed my pride and sat out and not given, because at the end of the day, no one was going professional with this at all. Well, I don't know why I had to put myself through so much pain. I was literally prolonging the time it would take my hand to heal. It was a bone bruise that should have been put in a cast and just not done anything for 3-4 months. Since I did that, it elongated the healing time for like another 3 to 4 months. And that was such a terrible thing to do. I put my own health on the line. At this point, my hand is still not really healed fully. And yeah, man, it's tough.
Yeah, mental illness makes you do more harm to yourself when you think you're doing the right thing. I like that you said that it was a first world problem. See, because a lot of people, they don't take their problems as seriously because they remind themselves that someone else has it worse than me. So my problems don't matter, and we shouldn't do that. If something is so severe that it's causing you anxiety, it's causing you depression, it's causing you all these mental health problems, it matters. But a lot of people are self-deprecating. They're like, no, it doesn't matter. No, people shouldn't focus on me because I know there are other people that have it worse. So I don't matter. Go help them. Don't help me.
I don't know why. I can't help but think, that the country we're in, we're almost privileged enough to the point that we can actually say that. Because, yeah, it takes we have a lot of, privilege in terms of being able to voice or express our need for help. Because I know there are some people in some countries that, no matter what, they probably think the same thing. They probably think, my problems don't necessarily matter, so I'm just going to keep quiet. And that's probably what they do for the rest of their life.
And that mental illness just sticks around for the whole time, and they feel these negative feelings their whole life, and they never truly find their happiness. That's why it's just a sad thing. That's why we need more awareness for this stuff. People need to start learning how to deal with these problems. They need to start learning how they can fix these problems, how they can live a better life. No matter what they're going through, yes, other people may have it worse, but that doesn't mean that you can't make it better for yourself.
I wish it could be. The thing, I feel like in America, I think we're getting to that point. I think we're doing pretty well, but man, if we can have other countries, go through a cultural shift, that allows their citizens to, have this conversation, or it might not even be, the countries themselves. It's just the people inside them, who, that's just the culture, man. It's a sad thing.
Well, here in America, I don't know. I feel like people our age, young adults and teenagers, since we grow up in this society where our image means so much, and literally our whole lives are on social media, we can't expose this bad side of ourselves. Everything we put out there, we try to make it look good, to make it seem like we're living the best life. So that's why it's so much harder for us to actually tell people, hey, maybe I'm not living that much of a good life. I'm doing pretty bad actually. We can't do that because it's so normal for us to show the best parts of our lives. So it makes it seem like that's our whole life entirely.
That's the thing you mentioned way earlier. You said that, naturally you just want to share our happiness with people. And some people, they're in a good phase in their life. They post about it. That's what they want to share. But that may not necessarily be your entire life, man. You may have underlying issues, family issues here and there. It's a very tough thing to battle, and that's the thing, man. When we post on social media, when we post a happy moment, we have to understand that happiness, man, it's not necessarily going to spread the way you think it is. Because people look at that and they say they want to take it from you because they want it as well, or they can't have it, so they don't want you to have it. So I don't know, man. Posting on social media, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal.
To us, it is. Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal, but we make it such a big deal because, like, we've just, with the way social media has developed, it's just we post like I said, the best parts of our lives. If we ever what gets the most views, what gets the most likes, it's stuff people want to see.
Validation.
Exactly. People don't want to see negativity. They don't want to see your problems on social media. They just want to see stuff they like. So, and our best line of communication right now is through social media. Yet we can't communicate our negative feelings or negative thoughts through it.
That's the thing, man. Social media is the primary method of escapism. If I don't want to see or go through what's going in my life right now, I'm going to see what other people are going through in their lives. Escapism at its finest.
And we need to normalize talking about our feelings, talking about the things that bother us, our insecurities, through social media. It's the best way we can reach out to people. The best way other people can bring awareness. The best way we can teach people how to cope.
The thing is, of course you should do that, but we should also do that when we're at a strong enough place in order to share our experience. Because I know a lot of people that are gonna take that message and distort it. We are not saying if you are currently depressed, go on social media and say, hey, I'm depressed, hit me up, because people will just see your weakness. Other predators will see your weakness and prey upon that. That's not what we're saying you should do at all, because that can be very, very bad. It can have very, very bad consequences. What we're saying is, if you're going through some shit right now, and you've gone through a period of self-healing, you've gone through this journey where you're strong enough to share your experience in order to help others, then you should probably go and share that experience. That's like how we're doing right now. That I think I pretty much, battled the worst of my depression. I think it's been almost a year now where I battled pretty much the worst of it. Like I said, I have my ups and downs, but I battled the worst of it, last year when I was seeking help, when I had clinical help and gone through whatever I had to go through. So now I'm sharing my experience a year later. That's maybe why I didn't start this podcast, a year ago, because I wasn't in a strong enough place. Maybe that was it, coupled with the fear of criticism. I wasn't in a strong enough place to share that experience.
Yeah, that's how I was too. Like, same as you, around a year and a half ago, I was in the worst of my depression. I hit rock bottom, and that's when I realized I actually need help. I got to the point where even though I was my own support system, even I could not support myself anymore. I needed professional help. I needed medication. That's when I finally went out. And now I'm at a point where I've gone through the worst. I've accepted. Yes, like you said. Yes, the depression creeps in every now and then. Some days are not good for me. Some days I don't have motivation or energy for anything. It's not. But at the end of the day, the next day, my happiness comes back. Like, even though I have bad days, it's not as bad as it used to be. And now I can talk about it. I can share my experience. I can hopefully help other people that are maybe going through the worst right now. And just posting, if I would have posted that, I'm really depressed and I need help and stuff, people would probably have seen it as attention seeking or something.
Exactly.
And probably seen it, they distort it. They don't see it, and they don't see it as a call for help. They see it as attention or something. But if you can prove that you've been through something bad and that you've come out better, that can give hope to some kid that's looking at you through the screen. That can give hope to them and help them fight another day and lead them to the happiness they need.
You have to help yourself before you help others. That's the main key here. You have to help yourself before you think you can. I mean, otherwise, what's the point, man? You have to learn it first before you can teach it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can learn. I don't think you can teach it while you're still learning.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we are all still learning. We all still on this. We're all in school right now. School of life, not necessarily school. I mean, but that too. But man, we're all on this journey together. So as we near the end of this episode, we just want to encourage you guys to, if you are going through something, you should ask for help. Don't be ashamed to ask for help, and be careful who you ask for help as well. Recognize that if you don't trust anyone at the moment, call whatever resource there is. Any federal hotlines that are basically used for that purpose.
There are hotlines out there. There are psychiatrists that could help you. There are therapists, and honestly, if you don't feel comfortable contacting those people, then speak to a close friend, speak to a family member that can help you. And even if that doesn't work for you, you can either talk to Imran or me. We'll have our contact details in the description of the podcast information. And I know it may seem like no one cares about you or no one loves you and that you're not valued, but trust me, it's not like that. I've been through that and I've felt that for a very long time, and I had to remind myself that that's not true. And over time, I learned that I am valued, I am loved, and I am cared for. You just need to find the people that can provide that for you, and you need to remind yourself that you can't keep bringing yourself negativity. You have to bring yourself positivity to fight that negativity that your depression or your mental illness brings to you.
The first step is always recognizing the problem. And I know it's super difficult. I know it's super difficult to try and do something different because this mental illness, it breeds hopelessness. Once you lose hope to do something, I don't know how you go about your life, essentially. It's very, very difficult. But, it's an active decision to try to get better.
I'm not saying that you could change your life in one day. Take small steps. Maybe start a workout routine and write it down. One day you can write down a routine. The next day maybe you could do one exercise, or at least get yourself to maybe go for a walk or maybe go for a run. Take small steps to a bigger goal. That way you can find some sense of accomplishment. Find yourself a new purpose. Just don't lay around. Don't self-deprecate. It's just going to make things worse. I know how hard it is. I know exactly how hard it is to get yourself to do something, but please try. Take those small steps, because it's going to lead to big steps, and sooner or later you're going to find your happiness, and you're going to live a much happier life. Just trust me. And if you ever need anyone to talk to, we are here. If you don't have anyone else, we are here.
Like you said, we're here to help. The host is always willing to listen. I've been listening to this guy for a very long time now. I'm very tired. But it's like I said, contact us if you don't feel comfortable. Honestly, sometimes you may not know me as well, but if you believe that I can open up to you, trust in us that we'll take you seriously as well. That's all I'm trying to say here. And so, in regards to this episode, I felt like this was the necessary topic for this next episode. I know I mentioned earlier in another episode before this that we're going to talk about college debt, and we'll get to that, but this is just a topic that hits different, and it needed to be talked about because it couldn't be more relevant than it is right now.
And the people that have faced the worst of their mental illness, please spread awareness about what you went through. Please spread awareness of the resources that there are to help people. tell people your story. Tell them how you got through it. Bring some hope to the people that are hopeless.
Exactly. Man, I think that was a great episode. I think we really hit it on that one. So, like we said, seek for help if you're going through something, or just try to do something different. It's an active decision every day. So, tune in next week for the next episode of the Blue Tapes podcast. We're going to cover anything. We're really going to cover anything that's relevant. That's something that needs to be said. Something that you guys need to hear. Everyone needs to hear. Everyone needs to be aware of. And with that in mind, see you in the next one. And bye.